I'm Carol Vorderman, and the last time we met I introduced you to the beautiful and, as we now know, highly successful Vauxhall Calibra. Now this time I'm going to talk about another brand new Vauxhall model, the 1992 Astra. Today we're going to overview the whole range, see how the new car stacks up against some of its most prominent competition, and finally look in detail at the Astra flagship, the GSI 16-valve. Astra, as we're going to see in a minute, is a very comprehensive range indeed, and this means that in one video we can't hope to present you with all the information that's available about it. Therefore, to be completely up to date with the new model, you must use this programme in conjunction with the Astra information pack. I'll be referring to it throughout the programme, but read it thoroughly anyway. Now, the lower-medium sector in which Astra competes is very important to the motor industry because its potential is enormous. Nearly 30% of total sales in Western Europe in 1990. Consequently, the new Astra has a very large number of potential competitors. Almost every manufacturer has one star player in this league. Now, for the same reasons that we can't present the entire information available about the Astra today, neither can we compare the new model to all of its competition. So we've chosen three significant opponents. The Escort 1.4i LX because it's still the market leader in volume, the Rover 214SI because recent sales figures show that it's becoming very popular, and the Renault 19 1.4 GTS because its competitive pricing is making it very attractive to the UK and European markets. We're going to limit our comparisons mainly to the 1.4 models because these are the volume sellers, and there will be a few surprises along the way. Okay, to work. New, stunning, a driver's car and a car for the 90s. Well, you could say that about both the new Calibra and the new Astra, but there the similarity ends. Calibra is relatively uncomplicated, effectively a four-seater model with 3 engine variants. Astra is a very different story indeed. The new car comes in 5 body styles, replicating existing Astra but with some very important changes. 8 3-door hatches, 16 5-door hatches, 16 4-door saloons starting to become available next year, 12 5-door estates but no 3-door estates anymore, and 5 3-door delivery vans. It's a very comprehensive range and it's larger than before, even without the 3-door estates. Compared to most of the other manufacturers, it's massive. Rover, for example, have only 22 models in this sector and Peugeot 17. Perhaps it's just easier to say that new Astra comes in over 50 variants, and every one is produced to the highest engineering and specification standards, giving more than expected at every level and taking the Astra far above what you would expect for its class. There are 7 engines in the Astra lineup, 4 of which are either brand new or new to the line. If you buy a new Astra, you're almost certainly going to have to use the green pump, because in keeping with Vauxhall's environmental consciousness, all petrol models now have catalytic converters, as does the 1.7 turbo diesel. But first, the petrol engines. The 1.4 fuel-injected unit is now available in the 60 PS or the new 82 PS variant, which gives buyers the chance of a considerable power increase for a small extra cost. It will be offered on the LS, GLS, CD and SI. To differentiate between these 2 engines, only models powered by the larger 82 PS engine will display the badge. The 1.6i 100 PS engine, designed for excellent fuel consumption and superior low-end torque, will come in towards the start of next year, and it will be offered on the SI, GLS and CD. The 2-litre fuel-injected 115 PS, as used in the 8-valve Calibra, is new to the range and now powers CDs and SRIs. And the massive 150 PS 16-valve 2-litre engine crosses over from the 16-valve GTE to the 16-valve GSI. Finally, there are two diesel engines. The 1.7 57 PS diesel, available on Merits and LSs, and the brand new and very powerful 1.7 82 PS turbo diesel, offered on LSs and GLSs, including the saloon. The 1.7 turbo diesel engine, used for example in this GLS estate, is very interesting. Its availability reflects the growing demand for diesel products in the UK. Over the last 5 years, their market share has more than doubled. The Astra turbo diesel provides all the environmental and economic benefits of a diesel, as well as the environmental advantages of a cat. Apart from the Golf Umfeld diesel, it's the only example in this class to do so. Clever engine, beautiful car. And what else? Well, across the range there is a choice of 7 trim levels, and the badging is almost completely different. Well, I don't know about you, but I'm feeling distinctly giddy, so let's look at the range in manageable chunks, starting with the badging. Merit and CD designations carry over, but LS replaces L and LX, GLS replaces GL, SI replaces SX, SRI replaces SXI, and GSI 16 valve replaces GTE 16 valve. With the exception of the GSI 16 valve, model identification badges are now only displayed on the body sides. It's quite easy to group the cars in relation to the markets for which they're intended. Merit and LS for the customer who wants an extremely well-spec car at a very reasonable price. GLS and CD for the more luxurious tastes, and a range of sporty variants, the SI, SRI and GSI for drivers who want an exciting as well as a highly spec'd car. And of course there are the diesels and turbo diesel variants, now available right up to GLS. These are not only becoming more popular, but are rapidly losing their once unglamorous image. And on the subject of badging, there is another important change. The name Belmont will go, and the saloon will now just be badged Astra. In fact, in every way now, the name Astra reigns supreme, because Opel is dropping the cadet badging, and the range will be known as Astra across Europe. Nice one UK, and nice one Vauxhall. Make no mistake, the success of this car is crucial to Vauxhall and GM as a whole. Its launch is seen as being the most important ever undertaken in Europe, even more so than the Cavalier. This is partly because of the sheer size of the lower medium sector in which it competes, and it's partly because, due to environmental as well as economic influences, car preferences are moving towards smaller units. Many people who before would have only considered a Cavalier class purchase may now be downsizing their choice. You must identify and satisfy these buyers, but it's not easy. The problem, of course, and it's one that the designers of new Astra are very aware of, is that these buyers' expectations will be determined by the larger cars they're used to, so they expect more. And that's what they have been given in the new Astra, more than expected. You have to get into a new Astra to know why it's going to be such a success. It carries on the tradition of the Senator, Carlton and Cavalier. When you drive an Astra, you get the feeling that you're in a car that's one class higher. Okay, so let's put our money where our mouth is and have a closer look at the new Astra and how it's going to stand up to the competition. Now, when customers think about buying a new car, they're looking, of course, for value for their money and performance and style, but often they're looking for something else, uniqueness. Something that's special, something that's different, something that gives added value for money and gives them a little cachet. Well, as far as that's concerned, new Astra is the class leader already. To go into all the new car's features and improvements would take a very long time, and they are all in your information pack. So instead, let's look today at what makes new Astra a uniquely good buy throughout the range. Starting with the interior of the car. Every model has a new, high-quality stereo radio cassette player with 6 speakers and a brand new remote multifunction information display. The MFD, as the multifunction display is known, is standard throughout the range. It's associated with the audio system, but is located high on the fascia and is completely separate from the radio. Adjustable for night driving, but legible even in direct sunlight, the MFD is close to the driver's eye line for safety. On every model, it displays the time, digitally, radio information and the date. On the GSI 16 valve, it displays far more, but we'll come to that later. Your information pack will have full details about MFD and how it operates. New Astra audio is entirely new, with high-quality, security-coded radios now standard throughout the range. Every model, except Merit, features the Radio Data System, or RDS. This ensures the best possible reception by tuning to the strongest signal rather than the strongest frequency. And if you select the RDS travel service, regardless of whether you're listening to the radio or the cassette, or even have the volume turned right down, RDS will interrupt with the latest travel news. Just imagine, traffic updates at the touch of a button. Affordable technology again, top specification benefits throughout almost the entire range. So, how does Astra's new audio system stand up to the competition? Well, judge for yourselves, and remember we're comparing the 1.4 LS to its nearest competitors, the volume models. For a start, while the Ford, Rover and Renault all have stereo radio cassettes, the new Astra has 6 speakers. The Escort, Rover and Renault at this level only have 4. The Renault radio is not even security coded. The Astra is the only model to have the 2-piece audio security system, auto-reverse as standard on the cassette, and the only one to offer the multifunction display. And these features are all the more remarkable when you remember that this is the volume model, not a more expensive one. OK, moving along. This is another of Astra's class-beating features, the pollen filter. The Astra's entire interior climate has been upgraded and is now based on the Cavalier heating and ventilation system, but with 2 important environmental features added: the cabin pollen filter and the new air recirculation system. Using a replaceable membrane, the cabin pollen filter is standard and takes out virtually 100% of pollen and spores. Hay fever sufferers are certainly going to appreciate it. The new Astra will be the first car in its class to offer this feature. The competition has nothing like it. Also new is the air recirculation system, which with the pollen filter will provide more pleasant and fresher air for everyone in the cabin. It's particularly useful in heavy traffic and anywhere where there are dense fumes. Operated by this vacuum switch, which has a warning light to show when it's in operation, the system replaces exterior air drawn into the car with recycled clean interior air. And as a bonus, it also allows the car to warm up quickly on cold mornings, and that's the bit I like best. The Rover also has an air recirculation system, but without the pollen filter. The Escort and Renault have neither. There are a couple of other features in this cabin which are quite new, not just to the class, but to Vauxhall and many other manufacturers as well. They concern safety, and they're about to set new standards for this sector. Safety as a whole has been a major preoccupation with new Astra's designers. The new Astra is the first GM European car, for example, to feature specially reinforced doors. These have dual steel bars which extend from the front to rear door edges and provide valuable extra protection in the event of a side collision. In this class at present, only the Volvo 340 features impact bars in its doors. But what it does not have is this, Astra's new body lock restraint, which is fitted to both front seats. In simple terms, this very sophisticated device, again explained in full in your information pack, tightens the front seat lap and shoulder belts simultaneously in less than 22 thousandths of a second after a frontal collision. The benefits of this feature are enormous. Along with the anti-submarining ramps in the seats, it helps to prevent people sliding under the belts as a result of the tremendous forces which are created during an impact. Compared with the conventional lap and inertia belt system, the tensioner, by taking out the slack in the seat belt, can considerably reduce head, chest and soft tissue injuries. In the UK at present, only some of the most expensive executive cars offer this feature, and the Escort, Rover and Renault most certainly do not. Another Astra first. In addition, all front and rear seatbelts are also now fully height adjustable. Adult or child, the passenger can be both comfortable and safe. None of our competitors can match this level of concern. And certain principles of advanced chassis technology, those which are appropriate to the Astra front-wheel drive design, are now standard across the range. And ABS is provided far further down the line than before and is optional on all other models. And these are just some of the improvements that you'll find on a new Astra. So let's now walk around the car and see how it differs from its predecessor. From the front, new Astra is very much new generation Vauxhall. Low and wedge-shaped with a slim grille in which the Griffin badge is centrally and neatly inserted. Headlamps are also slimline and are flanked by indicators that intensify the sculptured wraparound look that epitomises 1990s Vauxhall. Electric headlamp levelling, by the way, is standard. It isn't on the Renault 19, Escort or Rover 214 SI. The bumpers are manufactured to a new design and are set higher than those on the outgoing Astra. The overall impression is certainly not one of blandness, which is a criticism thrown at least two of our competitors here, and indeed even at the lower range old Astras. The visual impact is rather one of strength. It just looks like a powerful car, and this is borne out when you open up the bonnet. The 1.4i has a new engine, which produces 82 PS at 5,800 revs, with a torque of 113 Newton-meters at 3,400 revs. Only the Rover is more powerful than this. The Escort is over 10% down on horsepower and 9% down on torque. The Renault is slightly less on both counts. 0 to 62.5 takes the Astra 1.4i 13 seconds, and its top speed is 109 miles per hour, better than any of the competitors here. This is particularly surprising because even in this age of environmental consciousness, the Renault still doesn't have a catalytic converter. Cars without cats, of course, tend to be faster than those that have them. But even so, the Astra's top speed is higher with a catalytic converter than the Renault's without. The Astra is also very nippy, and the turning circle, while it equals the Escort's, is smaller than both the Rovers and the Renaults. Now, engines may make you think of speed and performance, but they make me think of service. And this is where the Astra really scores. Service intervals will be the usual 9,000 miles, not 6,000 as on the other models here. And the car doesn't need the 1,000 to 1,500 mile preliminary check required by Ford and Rover. Altogether, that makes for a very considerable saving in running costs, particularly when parts and accessories are taken into consideration. The Renault loses out particularly badly here. So we obviously have a practical car in the new Astra. The question is it a car to make people's heads turn as well? Well, that, of course, is a matter of design, and design is subjective. But nevertheless, there are features that will mark out the Astra as being special. One of these is the use of glass, because it's in this respect that the car comes into its own. For a start, Astra's front and rear screens have been moved outwards to improve interior roominess and to realign the overall profile. The windscreen is now tinted and has a shade band, not a feature offered by the other manufacturers represented here. And there's now much more glass in the car, giving vastly improved visibility, especially to the rear. Across all the new body styles, there is now an average 18% more glass than on their predecessors, and this adds considerably to the feeling of spaciousness within the car. And on this subject, tilt-slide glass sunroofs are standard, as they are currently, except on the Merit. The 6-light window treatment, as here, is a feature of the 4- and 5-door and estate models, and is accentuated by these slim black C-pillars. A long sheet of glass which is almost continuous from front to back. As Autocar and Motor wrote in an early pre-launch article, it's undoubtedly an attractive car. The extra glass adds a lightness of line to the already pretty Astra profile. Good visibility, of course, as well as good looks, was a prime new Astra design objective, particularly as its predecessor had been criticised for this aspect. And this has now been addressed. The additional glass, 6-window treatment on all but the 3-door hatches, and the moving out of the front and rear screens has resulted in almost unrestricted 360-degree visibility. On a practical level, all glass is etched for security, and one-touch electric driver's windows are standard from this model, the 82 PS 1.4i LS, upwards. And central and security deadlocking are now standard throughout, except for the 3-door Merits and LSs. So how does all this compare? Well, the Ford has electric front windows, but not the Renault 19 or the Rover 214 SI. The difference is that the driver's window on the Astra features one-touch operation, which none of the competitors offer. Goal to Astra. And while the Rover and Ford, like the Astra, offer central locking as standard, the Renault doesn't. And only the Astra features the security deadlocking facility. The one-piece tailgate again has a deep glass area for added driver visibility. It opens right down to bumper level, so there's no problem in putting in heavy loads. And the push-button lock is rounded and easy to use. Because passenger space has been reorganised to give more room for backseat passengers, hatch load capacity with the back seats up is slightly less than in the old Astra. But this is compensated by the seat down capacity, which increases by a massive 7.1 cubic feet. And even though, as we'll see in a minute, the Astra is more spacious in almost every way than its competitors here, its hatch load space is still very comparable, and with the back seats down, considerably larger than the Escorts. Now, as we're at the rear of the hatch, this is the obvious time to look closely at the variant where the rear is perhaps of the most importance, the Estate. Personally, I think that this Estate is a very pretty car, not just the tried and trusty workhorse that we always used to hear about. It too has far more glass than its predecessor, new sculptured lines and a raised roof section, features which make it look far more streamlined and less utilitarian than before. And this is precisely what the designers were trying to achieve, a car with practical applications which also looks elegant and can be used on all the occasions that only saloons used to be thought fit for. For all its good looks, the Astra Estate is certainly a practical car. From the bumpers to the B-pillar, the car is pure Astra. Beyond this, the capacity of the 66.2-inch load length when the back seats are down is nearly 58 cubic feet. There's almost 6 cubic feet more than in the Sierra Estate, which is considered to compete in a class higher. Back seats up, load capacity is 2.5 cubic feet more than the Sierra. In fact, all Astra Estate's cargo dimensions have been improved so much that the vehicle must now move into the medium-size estate market rather than the compact sector, where it was firmly positioned previously. The raised section provides additional cargo space and extra rigidity for greater safety. The roof at this point is fully 2 inches taller than the Escort Estate and a whacking 5.5 inches higher than the Sierra Estate. In fact, the Sierra Estate fares pretty dismally across the board against the new Astra, which beats it on seat down capacity, seat up capacity, length of load deck, load width and wheel arch space. If you're using the Astra Estate to carry people as well, or instead of things, the additional glass at the rear makes backseat travelling a lot more comfortable and airy. Not so much a workhorse as a pedigree racehorse, if you ask me. Of course, there is a true workhorse in the range, and it's this, the new Astra van. Inside the Astra, no matter which model you're looking at, you can soon see why the line will lay strong claims to being best in class. It's the space inside the car, however, that will probably be the first thing to strike you. Externally, the car's dimensions are much the same, but interior space has been redistributed to provide considerably more room to move and spread. When you get into this car, you immediately get the impression that the car is bigger than its predecessor. And this is confirmed in reality because of some very practical improvements, like repositioning the front and rear screens. Moving the steering wheel forward and the rear seat fractionally back has made a considerable difference. The front headroom and shoulder room now show an improvement over not only the previous Astra, but over the Renault, Rover and Escort as well. There's also a lot more space in the back, and knee, leg and headroom in the rear are now the best in class. Both the rear and the front seats have been raised significantly, and this gives passengers, as well as the driver, a much more commanding view of the road. And again, this adds to that feeling of spaciousness. Hip room, couple distance, leg room and overall interior width have all been bettered, as has sound insulation and the quality of trim. Carpeting has been upgraded and upholstery has been improved across the range. Don't forget either about the standard height-adjustable rear seat belts, fold-away grab handles and useful rear door bins, none of which our competitors here offer. And there's now a consistent approach to the interior, no matter what the trim level. All Astras now have recognisable family identity, both inside and out. Good driving is safe driving, and safe driving is efficient. This is helped in the new Astra by this completely new fascia. Set lower down than previously, this allows the driver a better view of the road. This new fascia and this long centre console gives a strong cockpit image to the cabin and reinforces the feeling of professional driving efficiency. The high-tech, soft-feel instrument presentation and the fascia's finish generally makes the car, even at the lowest trim level, look expensive. Instrumentation, as you can see, is comprehensive and panel dimmers are now standard throughout, but not on our competitive cars. They don't have them at all. The Astra, in fact, looks after its drivers very well. It's the only one of our 4 competitive models to offer a front seat height adjuster, a driver's sun visor ticket pocket and a height adjustable driving mirror, quite apart from the unique security and convenience of the multifunction display, which of course our competitors here don't have. So what about drive and performance? The engineering aims for Astra were to make the car a class better in terms of noise, ride and handling, and to give the car a really solid feel. Well, let's see if they've succeeded. One of the first things that strikes you when you're driving is the quiet. The Astra's low CD factor helps here, of course, because the smooth outline of the car means that wind noise is lessened. The 1992 Astra is a totally new design, but like Cavalier, it's evolutionary rather than revolutionary. It's built on Carlton and Senator expertise, and most particularly on experience gained on the development of Cavalier. In handling tests, the new Astra was found to better its predecessor in every aspect, including cornering and straight-line behaviour, steering response and a general feeling of safety. And when you consider the current Astra regularly beats the new Escort in road tests, you can imagine how the new Astra will be. New Astra is a driver's car in every sense, but it's also environmentally conscious. And this is not just because the range is almost entirely standardised on CATs, it's also in the way it's been manufactured. From the water-based paints used in its production to the large number of recyclable components, the Astra has been designed to preserve rather than destroy the environment. For every car manufacturer, there's a long way to go yet, but in this car you really can see environmental considerations and environmental engineering at work. So an exciting and comprehensive range which at the volume as well as the more expensive levels stands up more than well to the competition. As a package, it's remarkably generous. We've mainly highlighted the features which its competitors don't offer, but take into consideration the many features now common to them all, and every car is pretty well spec'd nowadays, and the Astra becomes a most impressive purchase indeed. It's a range, however, that will become the more impressive because of one extraordinarily impressive model, particularly for this class, the GSI 16-valve. This has been called the ultimate Astra, and from its styling you can see why. Deep front and rear spoilers, dark rear lamp lenses, a special two-part grille, sill extensions, colour-keyed bumpers and special fog lamps and indicators. The car looks both massively strong and sleek at the same time. It has a different bonnet to the rest of the line and specific badging that's actually positioned on the spoiler. At the rear there are twin exhausts, of course, a body-coloured spoiler and the Griffin standing alone to maintain the strong, uncluttered image. The visual impact of this model is seen to be so important that 4 colours, specially chosen to complement the styling, have been selected for the body. Flame red, as here, glacier white, diamond black two-coat metallic and spectral blue two-coat pearlescent. But it's under the paint and inside the car that the GSI is really outstanding. The powertrain, for example, is recognised as being remarkable. What Car, January 91, said of this engine, "In the 2-litre class there is nothing to touch it. This is one of the great mass-produced engines of the decade. Where the car's real appeal lies is in its uninhibited, uncensored performance. Obviously, its spec is superb, top of the line in anyone's book. Whatever the other models in the line have, the GSI has, and more. The Driver Information Centre, for example, in addition to displaying the time, radio channel and travel news, also has the following trip computer functions: instantaneous fuel consumption, average fuel consumption, average speed, range based on remaining fuel, a stopwatch and an outside air temperature readout. ABS is, of course, standard, as is a feature specific only to the GSI 16-valve, electronic traction control. This is another example of Vauxhall's affordable technology and comes into effect when road conditions or driving behaviour could cause wheel spin. ETC can only operate in conjunction with ABS, and it minimises wheel spin by reducing active power. It works in the following way. The 4-wheel ABS sensors continuously feed information into the ABS module. When a difference in revs between the front and rear wheels is sensed, within a thousandth of a second, the ETC control unit operates a second throttle, which reduces torque to optimum power levels, even if the accelerator is fully engaged. When this happens, a light comes up on the fascia, giving reassurance to the driver and a warning of potentially dangerous conditions. Apart from its unique features, the GSI has everything else you would expect from a flagship of the line, including a security alarm, fully electric windows, tinted glass, high-pressure headlamp washers, a leather steering wheel and gear knob, and alloy wheels. Once, the cult car of this class was the Golf GTI. This was the car to be seen in. But it soon lost that position when the Astra 16-valve GTE was launched. The new Golf GTI aims to be back there again. But this superb, top-of-the-range Astra GSI 16-valve should maintain and increase its predecessor's dominance in this sector. Altogether, a stunning car to crown a stunning lineup. If there was one word to sum up the extraordinary package that makes up the new Astras, it would be quality. There has been a real effort to design quality into this new model. Quality performance, quality styling and quality specification. And as a package it's remarkable. Space, styling, safety, comfort, efficiency, all have been improved. At every turn the customer is getting more than expected and affordable technology. Because more than expected and affordable technology are both leading beliefs of Vauxhall's design philosophy. Vauxhall Motors' corporate aim is leadership in the 90s. This is what new Astra is all about. But I can't make you believe that. You'll have to make up your own mind. And there's only one way to do that: get into one and drive it yourself. After all, that's what the customers do, isn't it? I hope you enjoyed the new Astra, and thank you for watching, and I wish you farewell. Goodbye.